Well, we started monitoring harmful algal blooms in 2002 here at the Lake Erie Center. There was no large bloom in 2002, and it wasn't really on anybody's radar. But then we had a large bloom in 2003, and that's when we just really became aware that these blooms that we thought had been gone were returning to Lake Erie long before 2014, and the blooms were getting worse and worse and worse in general. And then, of course, we had the water crisis in 2014, and that's when everybody became aware, and it became a big issue for everyone. So we were able to predict how large a bloom would become. We still didn't know where the bloom was going to go. We didn't know how toxic the bloom would become. And those are still areas of studies, but what we can do now is forecast, so whether it's going to go towards a water intake or not. Plus, there are now more buoys with sensors on them that are constantly monitoring the algae. So we have a better idea of where the bloom is, where it's going, and there are sensors inside water plants now that know when the bloom gets inside a water plant, and so we can deal with it more quickly. There's another factor that we have to take into account with these blooms, and that is that in some years there are viruses that attack the bloom, and that can break the algal cells open and release toxin into the water. So now we have sensors that are able to detect when the algal cells are breaking open and releasing toxin, and we have one of those advanced sensors now deployed at the Toledo drinking water plant. In the Toledo drinking water crisis of 2014, people were coming forward and saying, I feel sick, I think I had been exposed to some toxic algae. There was no real test to tell whether somebody had been exposed or not. So now we are developing tests to see, what are the markers of someone who has been exposed to toxin. There are some enzymes and things that are produced in the human body that can say, well, this person has been exposed or not. Because of the 2014 water crisis and then the investment that Ohio made in its university researchers, Ohio's universities probably now have a 10-year head start on harmful algal bloom studies. And so researchers from other parts of the country are coming to us and saying, what have you found? Can we apply your research to our situation? So it's made Ohio a real leader in harmful algal bloom research throughout the country and around the world.